Hello and happy March 1st. I am happy to and excited to be um, joining in on the celebrations for National Engineering Month. So I welcome you here today. The goals for today really are just for me to introduce you to what National Engineering Month is all about. If you haven't heard about it before, I'll give you just a little bit of background and just spend some time kind of talking through some of the activities surrounding it, who's involved, and how you can get involved. So with that, I will get started. You can see right here, actually on the first slide, the National Engineering Month logo right in the middle there, and the presenting partners or the partner organizations and associations that here in Ontario anyways are working together as a sort of a coalition approach to coordinate the efforts and activities surrounding National Engineering Month. So we have OACET, which is the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technicians and Technologists. We have Professional Engineers Ontario, PEO, you may have heard them referred as. And we have the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers, also known as OSPE. So I'll spend a little bit of time just talking a little bit more about those three organizations and their involvement in the campaign. But let's move on. So the first slide that I wanted to share with everyone is the theme or the slogan or the kind of core messaging that goes along with National Engineering Month. And very simply, there's a place for you. So there's a place for you in engineering and engineering technology. So the goal of the National Engineering Month campaign is to increase public awareness, talk to, change messages, change perceptions, bring the work that engineers, engineering technicians, and technologists do, bring all that work to life and help people understand that, what is going on, what is it that engineers do and technicians and technologists. And so sharing those stories, talking about that work, connecting to the general public in a different way than maybe we do for all the rest of the year. And with that comes the idea that there is a place for you here. You're welcome. If you're a student, maybe considering your options, then some of the activities that happen during National Engineering Month might be a bit of an eye opener for those students to consider what their options are and that they are welcome into these different professions. And then just for the general public as well, just helping to make them feel welcome and understand a little bit about what goes on kind of behind the scenes. So just a little bit more about kind of NEM in general, NEM National Engineering Month, sorry, I'll use the acronym. So it really is designed to be a strategic outreach campaign. So it is a truly a coordinated effort that happens across Canada. But we are here in Ontario, so I'll talk a little bit more about what's going on here in Ontario. So it is very strategic, and there is a lot of planning that goes on, so that we can make the most of the month. We can be collaborative, be innovative, and incent those behaviors as well. Some of those strategies include messaging. So for those of you who maybe were in attendance at the orientation kickoff event or webinar that we hosted back in the fall, you would have heard some of the same sort of messaging that is used for the event organizers organizing National Engineering Month events. Those guidelines come from a study that was done by the National Academy of Engineering. So there's some really great research that has gone into figuring out how to talk differently about engineering and engineering technology in a way that will resonate better with the general public. So there is a lot of different strategy that's involved in helping event organizers connect to that messaging, use it, report back on it, so that we can understand how that's all working. And then again, I talked a little bit about just the coordinated efforts that are happening with regards to all the events across Canada and here in Ontario. So there is a lot of support that is available to the volunteers that are participating in National Engineering Month. So just wanted to put that out there in case maybe that is something in the future that you might consider getting involved in. There's lots of there's funding available, resources available, merchandise available. So there is a lot of support that goes behind the volunteers. And then the goal of NEM, I already talked a little bit about this, but to transform public perception of the profession, talking about inspiring the next generation, and then utilizing grassroots outreach as the way that's happening. So outreach events, going in and doing things like you guys are doing right now, talking to classrooms, talking to kids, talking to teachers about what it means to be part of the engineering community or profession, talking to professionals as well, networking and conference type events. There's all kinds of I see stuff happening at libraries and different community locations all across the province. So all kinds of really innovative ways of connecting with the general public to get those messages out there. A little bit of history here, the NEM campaign over the years. So it actually started way back in 2000, oh my goodness, almost 20 years ago now, as National Engineering Week. So this is just a simple graph measuring the number of events that were happening in. This one is related just to Ontario, so happening here in Ontario. So there's a bit of a gap in the data where we're not sure really what was going on during that time, but presumably there was a less coordinated effort, I guess, happening between 2003 and 2010. But excuse me. In 2010, it was relaunched as National Engineering Month. So just giving more of an opportunity to coordinate those events and get things going all across and through the different associations that are involved. And then it's just continued to grow. So you can see my data is a little bit old here. Up to 2016, it was just above 300 events. I know that last year we were well over 500 events here in Ontario. So the campaign continues to grow year over year. It's not uncommon now when I talk to different professionals working in the engineering community that they know that March is National Engineering Month. So it's getting to be well known. People are planning for it now in advance and starting to really expect it and anticipate it and get excited about it. So it's really neat to see how the campaign has grown and continues to grow and create impact year over year. So a little bit about each of the partner organizations that are involved in bringing and coordinating the efforts surrounding National Engineering Month here in Ontario. So the first one here is the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. So OSPE is what they would call themselves the voice of the engineering profession. They actually have a publication, I believe it's monthly, that goes out called The Voice. So it's just they're the advocacy body surrounding professional engineers here in Ontario. So you can see a little bit. They're talking about engineering community. They're talking to engineering grads and students, how they can support them, making resources available to them, networking, community building. So they're really advocating for the professionals that are working in the industry, and doing everything that they can to continue to support them. So they really care about the work that's going on during National Engineering Month, and getting that voice out there to continue to be able to support the profession the best way that they can. The little or the big, I guess, picture of that's the CN Tower on the right hand side of the slide there, all lit up in purple. And that's has historically been one of the events that OSPE hosts as part of National Engineering Month. I don't know if they're doing it again this year, but they get a bunch of industry professionals together, and they have some talks at the CN Tower, and do some networking, and then they celebrate by lighting the CN Tower up purple. And the reason they pick purple, purple is traditionally, as some of you may know, a color that is connected to the engineering profession. I've heard lots of different stories around it, some debate about why purple and where does purple come from. But the one I like best is that it was the color that was given to the profession by the Queen, because it was a symbol of royalty, and recognition of the importance that the work that engineers do and the impact that they have on society. So it is a very honorable color. So we use that to celebrate and honor the engineers that are working in the profession. Professional Engineers Ontario is the regulatory body that governs the professional engineers here in the province of Ontario. So they're responsible for licensing and regulation. So they're really looking out for protecting the public, protecting public interest by setting and upholding high academic experience, professional practice standards. So they're the ones that are making sure that the licensed engineers are keeping the public's interests really at the forefront of their work, and keeping everybody safe, and representing the profession in that way. So Professional Engineers Ontario obviously is a key stakeholder in the activities that surround National Engineering Month, and it's a great opportunity for PEO to help the general public understand the regulatory aspect of the profession, and what it means to be a regulated and licensed and self-governed profession. So it's a great opportunity for them, and a great way to start the conversations and get those messages out there to help with just sort of overall understanding. And finally, OACET, the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technicians and Technologists. So they are the certifying body for engineering and applied science technicians and technologists. So similar to the work that is happening with PEO and OSPE, OACET does the same thing for those engineering technicians and technologists. So they're kind of doing both the jobs of PEO and OSPE together. So they're looking at the regulatory aspect as well as doing the advocacy work at the same time. Really, just based on my own past experience, there's some really innovative events that I've seen come from OACET members. Their student population is really engaged in the campaign. They've put on some really amazing events to get the word out there about what it means to be an engineering technician or engineering technologist, and how you can use those professions to have an impact on society, and make the world a safer, healthier, happier place for everybody. I wanted to just highlight a few of the events. It was hard for me to do this. There are really, well, as you saw, truly hundreds of events that are going on across the province. But a few of these are actually some repeat events, so ones that are happening year over year, and they just continue to be um, really unique ways of engaging with the general public. So the first one here is Water for the World. So these are workshops that are developed by the Engineers Without Borders Toronto Pro chapter, and it's a really high quality workshop that integrates the concepts of engineering and social impact. There's financial literacy in there. There's so many great things. I've run the workshops myself with quite a few different classes. It's always a huge hit. The kids love it. The teachers love it. I always have a lot of fun when I'm doing it. So they have for the Water for the World workshops, they've taken a few different approaches. They partner with the Toronto Public Libraries, and teachers have the ability to bring their classes to the library to get workshops. But over the last few years, they've been innovating on this concept to make it more accessible across the province. And so we've done some work actually with them. Us as Engineers of Tomorrow have done some work with them to make the workshops available remotely. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, please reach out to me and I can connect you up with them. And again, just really a high quality designed workshop. They've really done the work for you here on how to integrate all the great messaging and make it relevant and interesting for everyone involved. The Humans of Global Engineering was a take on the Humans of New York idea that's started a few years back now, but just a great way to feature some amazing stories. So getting faces out there, showcasing the people and the stories that are behind the profession, behind what the general public sees every day, right? It's a social media online quote unquote event, I guess I'll say. It happens all throughout the month. So really fun one to follow along and just read about those real life stories. And you can pick individuals out of here to share with maybe even the classes that you're involved in and highlight them as kind of spotlight them as potential role models for some of the students, like look what you could become or look what this amazing person is doing. So some really interesting perspectives in that campaign, so encourage you to check that out. I know they're on Instagram, and I think they're on Facebook and maybe even Twitter. But if you just look up Humans of Global Engineering, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. I've put a link in this presentation as well, so I'll be happy to share the slides and you can link through. And then the other one I featured here is some workshops that were designed, developed, and distributed by an organization called EngSpire. And they work with Girl Guide groups across Canada, actually, to help them find the right content, relevant content that they can share with their Girl Guide groups, and connect them up with engineers, local engineers in their communities, to facilitate these, again, awesomely messaged workshops that are fun and relevant and just really well connected with the way that we would want to talk about these professions. So they have some of these workshops available kind of as kits that you could go back and get, just get access to or get inspiration from. The picture on the bottom left-hand side of the slide there, you see it looks like almost like a baseball card of a systems engineer named Eduardo. It talks about his superpowers and the tools that he used. So that's actually one card in a deck that was developed by EngSpire, and there's about 25 or 30 cards in the deck, and each one represents a different profession in the community, and talks a little bit about it. So it gives you some insight into and is a great opportunity to open some conversations around the work that's happening again within the engineering community. So great resource. I actually have access to some of those, so that's something. If you are interested in getting one of those decks of cards, by all means reach out to me and I would be happy to help you with that. And then there's the way that personally that I facilitated or used these cards is with a guideline of questions that goes along with it. So I hand one card out to each kid in the workshop or in the class, and then I go through a series of yes or no questions. For example, do you think your engineer helps people? Yes or no? And, put up your hand for yes, or maybe go to one side of the room for yes and the other side of the room for no. And then we get to have some really interesting and engaging conversations about why certain people thought yes or no about their particular engineers. NEM in the media. So I pulled some real live tweets off of today's feed. So you can see already that there's all kinds of excitement going on social media about National Engineering Month. So there are accounts, National Engineering Month Ontario accounts, that if you're looking to follow them, they are there. They're usually at NEM Ontario on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So that's just a great place to find out what's going on, to join in the conversation. Today, March 1st, is also, I should mention, officially Professional Engineers Day here in Ontario. So as of last year, March 1st, 2018 was the first official Professional Engineers Day here in Ontario. It was actually OSPE that worked really hard to do some campaigning and was able to get that day designated as Professional Engineers Day. So great way to kick off the celebrations for the month of March. So encourage you to just check out what's going on in the news. There's all kinds of stories every day about the different activities. Companies go on and they share their stories, they feature their engineers, they talk about the work that they do. So just really a lot of fun to follow along with that. And so with that, that's, I guess, kind of a good lead in to how can you join in. So, I mean, obviously getting involved in the conversations on social media that I was just mentioning. Please share your stories. Get on there and just, it takes a second, say, hey, this is me and this is my story, and hashtag NEM 2019 so that you can get involved in that conversation. Attend a NEM event. They're, like I said, all across the province. So find one near you. The way you do that is just go to the nemontario.ca website. I've got a link to it there. But nemontario.ca, and they've got a map and you can find out what's going on in your area. So it's a lot of fun. Just, join in. It's a good way to connect with the community, with your profession. You never know. You never know what you're gonna find at them. And I also would encourage you to talk about it. This is it's just a great talking point, right? Great conversation starter with your own teachers and your own classes that you're connected to as part of the STEM outreach engagement program that you're a part of. So use it for that. Use it as an opportunity to start a conversation in your class about what it means to be an engineer, and use some of the resources that you can find on nemontario.ca to get you started. I'm happy to talk more about it. If you're interested, just send me a quick note. And then maybe finally, I put on there, maybe use it as a source of inspiration to start planning for something for next year. Maybe you're inspired to do your own event. It really doesn't have to be, a big thing with thousands of people. It really can just be, planning a visit to a local classroom, and using that opportunity to share some of your stories and messages about the engineering community. So use it as a source of inspiration this year. See what's going on, and plan for next year. I can tell you from experience that the planning for National Engineering Month starts in the fall every year. So if you are interested in doing something for the following year, so in March 2020, make sure to keep an eye out on the nemontario.ca website for the funding applications and all the resources that they start making available in the fall of every year. So with that, hopefully that gave you some insight into the what it means to be in March here in Canada as part of National Engineering Month. I hope you will take advantage of the opportunity, and encourage you to connect further if you need anything else from me. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to address them. I hope everyone has a great day. Happy Professional Engineers Day. Happy Friday, and have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone.